Hi, I'm Michael Wiman. I was in the United States Air Force from 1979 to 2005. I served President Reagan, President George H.W. Bush, President Bill Clinton for 8 years, and then President George W. Bush for 5 years. I was doing another job when I first joined the Air Force out in McCord Air Force Base in Tacoma, Washington. I came home on leave, and my dad used to own a restaurant right outside the main gate at Andrews Air Force Base. And I happened to see a few Air Force guys having lunch. I went up to them and I said, I'm in the Air Force, what do you guys do? And they told me they were flight attendants at the 89th Military Air Wing at Andrews Air Force Base. And I didn't even realize the Air Force had flight attendants. So I asked him, I said, well, I'd be interested in doing a job like that. And he literally wrote everything on a cocktail napkin and filled it out. He told me to go back to my base at McCord Air Force Base and fill out the paperwork and submit the package. And 2 weeks later, he called me and said, you're hired. And so I arrived at Andrews in October of 1983 and flew with the 1st Airlift Squadron, which flies the Vice President, Secretary of State, congressional groups, generals, all the VIPs in the government basically flew out of Andrews Air Force Base. Our job, we used to have to go to random grocery stores, shop for all the ingredients. We couldn't tell people we were coming, so sometimes we'd have to order things, and we couldn't tell them, you're ordering 90 servings of something, and they're like, what are you buying, 90 servings? And you're like, oh, I'm having a big party. We kind of like mask it in that way. But during the Reagan years, it was pretty simple because the White House pretty much dictated what we were going to do. We always had the special requirements for the first family, always on board. And then we'd have the main menu they'd give us. We'd go shop for all the ingredients and load it on the aircraft, and we'd load it last meal first, pull the food, prep it on the aircraft, cook it in the ovens, and serve it just like at a restaurant. It was a lot more work than a regular flight attendant job, like on a commercial airline. You had china, you had the silverware, glass. So you were washing dishes, and you'd have 3 meals on each leg. So it was a lot of work, but it was very rewarding, especially when they would come back and tell you how wonderful the food was. And that's the best steak I've ever eaten, or that really motivated you to do what your job was, and plus doing it for the President of the United States. That was just such an honor. I only got to fly with President Reagan probably 3 times. The first time I met him, I was so nervous I couldn't even talk to him, and we were flying to New York, and he popped his head around the front galley, and I was washing dishes, and he asked for a hot tea. And I was so baffled and like just unnerved by seeing him that close to me. It was an incredible experience. I just thought the world of him as our commander-in-chief. We got a great pay raise when he first took office. He just really inspired the whole military. All the branches. We just saw the morale shoot way up. To fast forward a little bit, I was picked to fly the funeral trip, and that was an incredible experience for me. I got to really get a one-on-one with Mrs. Reagan and tell her what a wonderful job she did building the airplane, and just getting some, family time with them, basically. And I still can't believe that I was honored and privileged to be able to do what I did. And I had a great Air Force career. Even on the 19 and 25-hour days that we had, we could still laugh and smile. I'm friends with most of my crewmates that I've known for 35 years, and I still see them today. It's just been such a bond that I don't think I would have ever had in any other job. Once in a while, I'd like to go back and do a trip. Work the galley, work the aisle, see the people again, serve the president, and then when we get to land somewhere, we get to go sightsee and, do fun things. So it was a great life.